Welcome to the Daily Dose of B podcast. I'm your host, Brittany, and I'm about to give you a window into the mind of yours truly. In a world where journaling is passé and self-awareness is deficient among us all, here's your Daily Dose of B.
All right. It is another episode of Daily Dose of B podcast, and I'm really excited about this one because I get to do the thing that I love best, which is vent about things that really don't matter in the real world, but maybe have a deeper philosophical meaning. And today it is about the Barbie movie. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm still getting used to doing this on camera because I think recording your voice just feels less weird. I feel less odd talking to myself when I can't see myself. You know, I can kind of pretend like I'm a voice out there in the distance, but doing this on video is so strange. If you're not watching this on video and you're just listening to the audio, you're going to be like, why are you even talking about this? But you can actually find this on YouTube. So anyway, for now, because I haven't said anything too crazy and YouTube still likes me for now, I am reviewing the Barbie movie, which I went and saw this weekend. And I was perplexed by a lot of the things that I saw in the Barbie movie. And it wasn't just on the basis of like, okay, this is a feminist type of doll, and that's kind of the background. So I wasn't going in with expectations that this was going to be like a conservative-based trad type of movie at all. And also Hollywood in general tends to be more leftist, more mainstream, more liberal in general. And so I had very little to no expectations that it was going to like fit my worldview or something. I just had no idea what it was actually about because the trailers don't really show it to be a deeply political or politically motivated movie. And I think that that is sort of unfair to the audience. In general, when we watch trailers, we want to get an idea of some of the main ideas we're going to be exposed to in the film. And when I go see an action movie, I expect the trailer to have a lot of action in it. If the trailer for an action movie leads with a lot of like relationship dynamics, then I'm going to expect the movie to have more relationship dynamics. And then if it's all fighting, I'm going to be disappointed, right? So this isn't really a criticism that's just based on the worldview, which I'm going to get to, because of course I do have a lot of criticisms to levy against the movie that are simply based on what the movie actually was meaningfully about. But this is just my taste in movies in general. When they started marketing, let's use Thor for example, they didn't market that as just this like macho, you know, Thor with the hammer being the strong guy. They market it more towards a greater audience, I think, and also like included sort of women in this by showing his kind of relationships. They gave us a lot of funny moments. They made us believe like this isn't just going to be an action movie for men. This is going to have moments in it that women or feminine humans would really enjoy. If you enjoy relationships, then you're going to enjoy this movie. And they, you know, there's a lot of studies to show that women find more interest in people and relationships, and men tend to find more interest in objects and chasing achievement, right? I'm not going to argue with that. This is a sociological fact. You can look it up. Don't argue with me, argue with the science. But when Thor leads that way, and then I go see it and I realize, okay, there are a lot of moments in here for me. I'm glad that that trailer gave me an idea because I wouldn't have gone to see it otherwise, right? If they would have led with all of the action from the film and not show me any of those softer moments, I would have thought this is a movie that's not for me. That's going to be a movie that my boyfriend or husband or whoever is going to go see and not me. But because they gave me some of those snippets in the trailer, I knew what I was getting into. And I think that Barbie did a poor job of leading you where you were going with the trailer. The trailer kind of just made it look like a fun, nostalgic Barbie movie. And I don't know any girl that grew up, especially in the 90s, that wouldn't be interested in feeling some nostalgia, going back to your childhood, thinking about, you know, all the things that Barbie could do. Because of course, Barbie is a feminist, right? She was the OG first wave, second wave feminist. You know, she was the, you know what, like this isn't just a doll to be pretty or like a baby doll where you always have to be the mother. this doll is for becoming a woman, right? So like Barbie could do things that, you know, we wanted little girls to see that women could do, right? Be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a pet sitter, be a teacher, right? And I think that's a really important message for girls to get. I would never want my children or anyone's daughters to grow up with the idea that women have to be confined to a specific role, right? Women are the only ones who can bear children. They're the only ones who can be mothers. And I want my children to understand that when they have a role as sacred as something that their body commands of them. So like your body determines, if you were born a woman, that you're the only sex that can be a mother. And that comes with great responsibility. And I want to impart that on them. You know, motherhood is your responsibility. And it's a beautiful responsibility, and it will be a life-affirming responsibility. And by far, it's the best thing I've ever done with my life. And I try to tell my girls this as much as possible, that my life truly began with your existence. There is a version of me that exists only in my memories in my maidenhood, and it is not the woman that I am today. And I owe everything that I am today to my children. Like, I would not be motivated to do this podcast. I would not be motivated to better myself if it weren't for my children, truly. So I want to impart that on them as their mother, this divine gift that you have, and it's also a divine responsibility. But I don't want to limit them. I don't want them to ever feel like, well, I have this certain gift for writing music, or I have this certain gift for math, and I want to be an engineer. I don't ever want them to feel like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have a penis. Like, that's bizarre. And I don't think most people living in the Western civilization feel that way, even if they have strong beliefs that, you know, a woman should be supporting a family and supporting children and supporting a husband. I don't think that most men would say like, well, that means that you can't pursue your dreams, or you can't have a dream, or you can't, alongside your motherhood, also do things that make you feel fulfilled, right? I think that everyone's kind of on the same page on that. I think people left the chat when they were like, oh, motherhood and being a traditional wife are just unimportant and for losers and for brainwashed people. But we'll get to that in this Barbie review. But I do think that Barbie, that's what I was looking for from Barbie. I wasn't looking for this celebrate the trophy wife, celebrate the mother. Like, I wasn't looking for that. So I want to make that really clear, because some of the people out there, I'm not going to name names, Ben Shapiro, who want to like get on some kind of weird pedestal and be like, this movie should have had, you know, like, how dare they crucify like mothers. It's like, no, like, let's start from a fair place, right? Like, we should be expecting this to be a pretty pro-feminist movement, because that is what Barbie is about, right? And you have to look at like Barbie's marketing throughout time has been like, women can be everything, and now we have Barbie who can be everything, so that women can identify with that. And there's something beautiful to that. And like at the time that came around, right? Is obviously post women's suffrage, post civil rights. Like around the time that came around, that was an important symbol for women. Barbie was, and of course now women find ways to make Barbie a symbol of shame, because Barbie has long legs and a short torso and is thin. Even though they've tried to make some more inclusive size Barbies, traditional stereotypical Barbie always tends to win. Blondie, who's skinny and long-legged, and so women kind of, they're like, but Barbie's holding us back now. But the idea is that like a beautiful woman can also be all these other things, and I think that's great, and that's what I went into the movie assuming I would see, right? Which is maybe not a worldview that I give a lot of credence to anymore, because I think being a radical is realizing that we do have these native genetically encoded gifts as women, one being the ability to support a man on a mission and bear children. I know that's not popular, and I'm okay with that. I've resisted it personally for a very long time, and I also run a business, so it's like obviously not something that I can live out to this extremely full way. And I'm so glad that in society I'm not shunned or unable to make money because I have a vagina. Like, I am thankful for feminism because it's kept me literally alive, right? So no shade on it, but I generally think that, you know, I knew that I'd be somewhat at odds with this movie. However, this movie didn't even try and give us a plot that like veiled its intention. The entire plot of the movie was this Barbie starts to like lose her interest in her very predictable, boring dream house life. And she doesn't know what's wrong with her. She's like, why do I think about death? And like, everyone's like, what? Like, you're Barbie. Your life is perfect, you know? And, oh, she gets cellulite. Oh no. Oh gosh, Barbie has cellulite. What are we going to do? Right? And so she has this like existential crisis, and she gets sent on a mission, as you know, all the traditional archetypal heroes do. She has to go on this mission to find herself. She goes to reality to find the girl that's playing with her, which she thinks is this teenager and is actually the teenager's mother. And this is full of spoilers if you're going to go see it. I don't recommend you seeing it, but it's full of spoilers, so just deal with that if you're listening. And when she goes to reality, Ken comes with her because he doesn't want her to go alone. And from the beginning, Ken is like just obsessed with Barbie, and Barbie's like also always just like, you're lame, every night is girls' night, you don't belong here. And it's just very like avoidant, which is a very masculine personality trait and relationship trait. The person who's usually trying to push away and put someone at arm's length is usually masculine energy. Feminine energy is more anxious, more like, I need to be provided for, I need security for my children, so we tend to have more anxious traits. So that sort of pushing away avoidance that Barbie shows from the beginning, you're kind of like, all right, this is the relationship dynamic here. He follows her to reality. He sees how well all the men are treated in reality, which is supposed to be, you know, just like American Western culture. And the men are treated so well in Ken's mind that he's like, why are the men treated so well? Like, they're not treated this way in like Barbie land, or Barbie world, whatever it's referred to. I think it's Barbie land. And he ends up realizing it's the patriarchy. So he goes and checks out books from the library, like on the patriarchy, like Patriarchy 101, or like how to be in the patriarchy. And he brings them back to Barbie land and creates a patriarchy. Now, in the movie, when Barbie and this teenager and her mother, who leave behind a dad, right? They just take off to another fictitious world and like, dad won't be worried about us. And they flip to dad and he's doing something stupid and like, that doesn't matter. And for 5 seconds, and they're like, oh yeah, of course dad's not gonna care. Like, this idea that they initially put out is, you know, like, men don't matter and are stupid. The only thing they care about is getting respect, which, you know, Ken's like, oh, I need this respect, so I need the patriarchy to come to Barbie land. And then we see this dad whose kid and wife just up and leaves, and we are told, oh, he's not going to care. He's not going to be worried about it. Which is just really sad, and like, I don't think is reflective of men in general who like love their wife and child. They're not going to just be like, oh, sure, they're just like MIA for who knows how long, and I'm not worried about them, right? We never see this dad again till the end of the movie. And the mom and the daughter go to Barbie land, and then Ken has created the patriarchy in Barbie land. And you know this, what the symbols of the patriarchy are in Barbie land, which I felt, again, it's just like this really disgusting tactic to shame women who are in supportive roles, which was all the women now that were president, Supreme Court justices, lawyers, whatever, are now serving the men. The men are all living in the dream houses, and the women are just like bringing around beers and just like serving them. And, you know, main character Barbie is like, what's going on? They're obviously all under a spell. Not, oh, like, I'm genuinely curious what's happening here. It looks like the president doesn't want to be the president anymore. Like, it's obvious that all these powerful women who are no longer in those powerful women roles have been sabotaged in some way. Like, the men are the mind controllers. Kens are mind controllers. And all they have to do to break women from this spell in the movie is tell them some, like, supposed to be, to us, the audience, a very apparent truth about women and men's relationship. Like, for example, like, did you ever notice that the man doesn't value your opinion on anything until you're attractive? And then once they say that, like, very, you know, poised phrase, it's like very well accepted by culture. Like, of course men don't care about you until you're attractive. Like, we all accept that as Americans. Ha ha ha, we're all laughing in the theater. Yeah, this is wildly understood. Mansplaining, ha ha, it's so funny. As soon as they say that, brainwashing goes away, and they are suddenly able to realize, I don't want to be serving this man. I want to go back to my job as the president. Like, that's my fulfilling purpose. That's my reason for existence. And it's just not at all in any way layered under a story. Like, there isn't a story. You don't know why this woman deeply wants to be president or like what her character makeup is. All you know is she is the president. The patriarchy comes in and makes her a subservient woman, which is obviously bad by the writing. You know that that's not good. And once she wakes up from this dream, she realizes that she's in the wrong role and she needs to go back to being in charge again. And the movie sort of continues like this until the end, where Barbie kind of has a moment and she's like, well, now that the perfect order is restored, as in all the Barbies get their Barbie dream homes back, right? It's not like they realize they need an egalitarian community or they're both worthwhile and da-da-da. It's like Barbie tells Ken, like, you need to find yourself. Like, it shouldn't just be about being my and Ken. You need to find yourself. So it's like women imparting wisdom on dumb men who don't get it. And there is this like subtle undertone in culture right now that that's explicit in this movie, but in culture it's sort of the undertone, which is that like men don't know any better. Men need help understanding how things work. Men can't possibly be expected to figure things out on their own. Like, men are just emotionally and socially unintelligent. And the fact that this isn't marketed towards men, so like a lot of men aren't going to go see it and be like, wow, this is a really shitty way to, portray men in movies, means that it will likely miss that criticism that it desperately needs. Which is kind of why I feel like I have to give it this fair criticism, because it's easy for, these like conservative man types to be like, screw this movie, because it's like, would there have been a version of Barbie that they would have actually enjoyed? Probably not. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, come off it. But I feel like as a woman who does value women being able to be in these places and have these seats that men have, like, I want women to have access. I don't want there to ever be laws or social norms that keep women from attaining a status that they want to attain. Like, if you want to give up your, what I believe is your divine calling of motherhood, and you instead want to pursue something else, I say more power to you. Like, you need to be an autonomous person with free will, and I would stand up for your right to do that as a woman. So I can understand, and there is a version of the Barbie movie that would have made me happy. And so I think that is the difference between like my experience and how I integrate with, this sort of woke culture is like, I know the underlying goodness of saying, we don't want women to feel like they have to be thin and they have to be this and they have to be that. It's like, if you're happy being obese, despite what it's doing to your health, like, no one should be making you feel bad about it. Like, we shouldn't have to shame you. You can give people information. You can say, hey, like, your body might be estrogen dominant. You might be having these issues. But we don't have to shame and hurt people to get them to take their correct position or to get them to realize what their calling is. Most women will hit that wall. That's why, Jordan Peterson talks about it, like, most women between 30 and 35 will, even if they've had an excellent career and they're happy in their career or whatever, they will have this like deep internal pulling of like, I'm missing out on something in life. And they will try to conceive a child. Because I do believe it is sort of, it's encoded in us. Like, we can only escape our primitive biology so far. But I want women to have the choice to do so if it makes them happy, right? So I don't want to be like sort of put in this box of like this conservative commentator, and like my opinion on Barbie is this conservative like talking point. It's like, I didn't expect Barbie to be a conservative movie or a trad movie or a red pill movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not expecting that from Barbie. What I was expecting was to not see men degraded to such a level, and also to not see women just so narrowly fitted into this must have like a government power, must have high paying job in order to be valuable, in order to not just be a brainwashed fool. Like, there are many brilliant women who are not brainwashed fools, who are happy serving husbands and are happy with masculine leadership. Like, that does exist too. And all I want is a world wherein neither thing is shamed, neither thing is looked down on, neither thing is lesser, and both the patriarchy and matriarchy are not at odds with each other, but rather they're filling in the gaps of each other. The masculine and feminine are celebrated in this dance where they give to one another. And when we see a community like Barbie Land that's like wrecked by the matriarchy, or we see a world where only the men make decisions and only the men are in charge and all this in this patriarchal top-down type of way, and we say there are things missing here that women can offer, that we take a critical look at what that means as a culture. And I think that when we do that, when we genuinely try to shape our society around the strengths of men and the strengths of women, we come out better together as opposed to working against each other. And so that was kind of my review of the movie. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments. Rate, review the podcast. If you're listening on audio, always appreciate that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks for listening to my podcast, Daily Dose of B. I really hope you liked it. If you did, leave me a 5-star review. You know the drill. It'll help bump me in the algos, and I will love you forever. Have a great one.